Last time, we finally turned a corner in this renovation. After months of tearing everything apart, I walked through the apartment room by room to show the current state and shared my plans for the kitchen, the bathroom and the plumbing. For the first time, it felt like we were moving past endless demolition and starting to build something new. Oh, and the best news. The fix in the roof, it held up perfectly throughout a full-on rainstorm. So, let's pick it up again, right where we left it off at the end of the last episode. Hello, and welcome back to another video. What you see now is the same evening as what you saw in last week's video, and I'm going to do a lot of work the next 4 days. What I need to do tonight, and hopefully I won't stay up here too long, is that I need to get that hole up in the smoke shaft plasterboarded with this fireproof plasterboard that we have right here. It's a bit stronger than normal plasterboard. I've got my knife with me. There's no need to use a saw, there's no need to use a circular saw or anything like that. I need to use my measuring device to measure how long the distance is for the cut I need to do. I've got my pencil. This is quite frankly just a 90-degree angle. The other one here is called a level or a bubble level. If you want to make fun of someone that's like me, doesn't know jack shit about how to build stuff, or is very new to it at least, then you go and ask them to find the bubble for the bubble level, see if they can find that in the store, or if they can find the left-hand screwdriver. Well, jokes aside, on a more serious note, I've got this device which is sort of like a scraper that you can use to scrape off the ends here. It's basically just a grater essentially that you can use to grate off the ends if they're not the completely right fit. And then I've got a machine here. This is sort of like just a screwdriver that plugs in the screws here for the plasterboard. But what I'll need to do now is I need to put the scaffolding up here, go up, measure the distance, and after I've done that, I will need to tape the joints and fill it in with plaster and plaster over the holes, and we can let that sit and dry for tomorrow, where I will do it all over again. But I'll do a quick explanation of what I am to do when I get up there. Clearly that doesn't work. I want to be standing on a solid surface, so I need to remove the boards underneath here. Yeah, there's only one way to do it. You are going to get this at a real good angle. I'm going to give it a quick show up here in a second. I firstly need to do the calculations, so let me get started on that. So now comes the explanation. I've measured it right here. I've measured it to be 47.5. That's the width from here, going all the way over to here. Then I've measured the length of this entire strip. I've measured that to be 107.7. This is the edge I need to tape. And it's actually funny because I can see this is the exact same measurement as my brother did for the other one. And this one up here, the very top, measured that to be 53. So the stretch here, going all the way out from the top up there, all the way down to the bottom, is going to be 108.7. Den lange side uden spartelkant var 108. And then you simply just drop it down. This bit here will be the piece that we will be using. I have a side here that's 108.7. I have a side here that's 108.7, and then I've got 90 centimeters down here. I need to decrease this side down here to 47. I need to have one up here that is 53. And then I need this side, so like the side that goes up here, to be equivalent to 108. That's what I need to do. Mathematics. Okay, we'll give it a shot. And 53 up there. It's first time using this one, but it's basically like going through a nice Parmesan cheese. I will go and do a dry fit test on it now and see how that works. Okay, quite expectedly, that did not work, but I was able to make some measurements up there, and I actually believe that I can score it here and take off the amount that I should. I'm not so sure if we can do this, but we're gonna give it a try at least. No, it's completely impossible. Again, just tried fitted it, didn't work. Seems that I need to take a bit off here, so I'll do that with a grater. No. Okay. .45 in the morning, and I need to open up for the plumber. Why am I up here at 7:15 before the devil has got his shoes on a Friday morning? I'm up here because the plumber is going to arrive, and he was due to arrive at 7. He hasn't showed up yet, so I'm going to give him a ring now. And then what I need to do afterwards is that I need to drive half an hour to pick up 4 radiators that I've bought on an auction, so that we can get entire new radiators up here. I've got a day in front of me where I need to do my normal day job. But yeah, in my spare time, I spend all of my time fixing this house. And today is the day I've been looking forward to for a long time, because I'm getting another element fixed that I'm not able to do myself, and sort of like coordination stuff and all of that kind of thing is actually the hardest part about this entire build. But yeah, I'll give the plumber a ring now, see how far he is, and then I can hand him over the key, and I can drive to pick up the radiators. Hold on a second, let's just quickly recap what I said in the last episode about the plumber. Tomorrow at 7 AM, there'll be a plumber here. Would you believe it? As I just ended up finishing the last video, I got a text from the plumber that called in sick for the day. Obviously that annoys me, but if you're sick, you're sick. He suggested to come on Sunday instead, so I'm going to tell him that it's fine, he can come on Sunday. We still have things to do that we can do this weekend, but it will also result in us having to do some work where he's going to do some work, and that will give him less space. But I need to build that skeleton out in the bathroom today. And that's just life. So off to pick up the radiators now. I'm back here Friday afternoon, it's about 5:45 right now. It has been roughly about 17 hours, 18 hours since I put first layer of skim coat on the plasterboard to tape in the joints. The plan is now to get the second layer on top of it. I need to see if this is dry. I actually didn't know what the drying time of it was, but it says on the box that I have right here that the drying time at 20 degrees Celsius is by no means 20 degrees Celsius. At 60% air moisture, don't know what the air moisture is right now, then the skim coat or the plaster that I put on is dry, so you can touch it after 2 to 4 hours. It's recoating dry after 24 hours. It's been 18 hours and it's definitely colder right here than 23 degrees, and it's hardened after a couple of days. So I might need to go down and get the gas heater so that we can get it up a bit warmer, because it's right about, what, 8 degrees outside. I can feel the middle bit where I put on a thicker layer or a thicker coat. It's not like fully dry, but it's all right. I can touch it quite easily without getting anything on my hands. I'm actually quite happy with the result. Yeah, I think it's just on with the time lapse of me putting on the second coat. First of all, you have to remember that I'm not a tradesman by any means. Everything I do is either because I'm being told to do it, I look it up online, or a mix in between. And preparing a wall and taking it from the step where you plasterboard it to skim coating to putting on the paint is I've actually just outlined it there, a 4 or 5 step process. And I went up here and checked if everything was dry. It seemed to be somewhat dry. I then get a call from my brother just when I was about to start, and he says, yeah, but is it completely dry? I said, no, it's not completely dry. He said, it has to be completely dry before you can put on the next coat. And I probably also should have sanded it down before I put it on the next coat of plaster or skim coat. But I've gone ahead and done it now. And this is the first time I'm trying it. And I really hope that the result will be all right. The thing is, this skim coat, it sinks down a bit. So what my brother told me was saying, all right, you might go ahead and do it right now with a second coat. And then you need to make sure that that one hardens, sand that down, and then you can give it like a full coat after that. So I'm going to give that a try. However, it probably means that I cannot do the second coat tomorrow. I can probably only do that Sunday. And that annoys me because I'm traveling to England again on Monday and will only be back on the following weekend. And I was hoping I could do step 1 yesterday, which I did, step 2 today, which I've done, step 3 tomorrow, which would be like the full plastering of everything, and I can't do that until next weekend, and that has to dry for quite a bit, and I can only start doing that on Sunday, meaning that I'd sand it down and then paint it next weekend. But I would have loved to give in that first coat as of this Sunday, so that it could dry, I could come and I can put in acrylic cutting in edges around the corners, and then do the second coat of paint, and then that top bit would be done so that I can continue on moving down a bit. But I guess that's just the name of the game, and then sometimes you have to play by the rules. And again, it's the first time I'm trying it. And I'm only sharing my thoughts here because I'm insecure of what is the right and what's the wrong thing to do. I'm trying to do the right thing. And I know it's not going to be perfect, but it's 100% going to be better than what it was. Hopefully when I'm doing renovation for the 5th time, I'm being good. I've got some extra time before I need to go down, head home and eat dinner. So what I'll do now is I will go down to where the toilet is, and I'll start measuring out for the skeleton that we'll be building in there for the toilet. So yeah, I'll get cracking with that. And of course I meant that I would start framing out the beams to support the new subfloor we will have in the bathroom. I've already explained the importance of this in a previous episode, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it here. Despite my optimism, I was not able to finish this job myself on the Friday evening, so we'll have to pick up again on the subject in a future episode. The next morning I was joined by my good friend Michael, who also has a rental apartment himself, and he wanted to learn how to renovate. Not that I know how to. We decided to start cracking on with the framing of the internal walls upstairs for what will be the 2 new bedrooms. Unfortunately, I did not get to film super much of this, but here's an update on how far we made it on the day. I have my good friend here, Michael, today, that has been helping me since yesterday. Just wanted to give you a quick tour of what we did yesterday. So we started framing out the internal walls up here, as well as the doors, and I've mentioned that quite a few times, that I wanted to have 2 rooms up here. So you can see you come up right there from downstairs, come up to the second floor, and then it opens up into 2 rooms. And we were a bit uncertain how it would work out. So what we started doing was actually drawing it out on the floor. And there's going to be a small room in here, and the door is going to open that way. Was that what we agreed on? Opposite. It's going to open that way, because then you open it up into the room. And it's going to be a relatively small room. We plan on making it sort of like a child's room. I think there's about 3 meters from here all the way to the bottom side of the wall over there. But there is enough space to have a small bed where we've got the plasterboards laying as it is right now. If I jump into the other room, this is going to be the bigger one, and I hope that it makes a bit more sense now that we've done it. Then you can see this is going to be sort of like what we envision as the master bedroom. We framed up this wall yesterday, and it was quite hard to do with the joist that we have running entire second floor here. We decided that we're going to do the different elements one bit at a time instead of starting out everything at once, because I was talking about starting doing some plasterboard, but if I start doing that, then we're going to have plasterboards up here and everything. So I think what the plan is to ensure that everything of the internal framing goes up, excluding the smoke shaft that we have right here, because the smoke shaft is going to be taken in some different stages. But what me and Michael will do now is that we're going to crack on with the internal walls that is going to divide the room that I'm standing in right here and the room that Michael is standing in right there. So we need to build up some 2x4 studs going up and creating like a wall divider right here, because that's what I teared down back in the days. Yeah, we better get started and take some more step forward. And this was the last element that Michael had time to help me with. So after he left, I immediately jumped into fully skim coat the top of the smoke shaft. I have just tried giving this entire smoke shaft the first skim coat, and I am not 100% happy with the results, but it's done, and I would let it sit and dry now, and then we can always top up. I'm actually not too worried about the corners, because the corners I'm going to caulk anyway. However, the rest of it, you can see there's quite a lot of these waves. But it's the first time I'm trying it, so we'll need to see. We'll need to let it dry. It's going to dry for a week. One thing I did notice is this bit, as you can see right here. So I've taped the joints here between the 2 pieces of plasterboard. And when I was at the painter store yesterday, I spoke to the lady inside, and she's a painter by trade. And she told me when you put this one down, you need to let it sit and dry before you put the second coat on top of it. And I was watching a video on how to do it, and they told me to put the second coat on top of it straight away. But that is what created these sort of like junks here. I don't know how to fix it, but I will figure that out somehow. Alright, now we just need to let it dry. And whilst we leave the skim coat to fully dry, this is also where we'll wrap up this episode. It is only in order that I give a shout out to my good friend Michael, who helped me framing out the walls this weekend. I really appreciate that, buddy. As always, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, subscribe to the channel. It motivates me more than you know. See you in the next one. Cheers.